think I'm live. I think I'm live. I am. Peace, YouTube. This is Laroon coming to you today with exciting new intel. Check on in. Check on in. I think my camera's good. Okay. See my doggies. Where's my dog? I can't see. Like my cameras are like. I can't tell which one. My cameras are flipped. So I can't tell what you can see, like if I go this way. So apparently if I go this way, you can see my, where's she? Hey, Sven. Peace, everybody. I'm actually using on real technology. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. Check on in. Check on in. Okay. I think I can see comments. Yay. Peace, everybody. Okay. Yay. Okay. So I'm just checking because I'm not used to using this computer. So it's actually working really well. All right. Do. Should I behave? Because there's so much to talk about, you know? I don't know if I should bring up everything that's going on. You know what I mean? Check on in. Oh, the world we exist in it is truly changed. Could you imagine? Could you imagine before when 2020? I want everybody in this chat to go back to 2020, like right before 2020 happened. Just imagine your life before then. Remember, like everything seemed, it was a lie, of course, you know, an orchestration of illusions. But regardless, everything seemed so amazing, right? It seemed like you could plan a trip, you know what I mean? You could enjoy, you know, the amenities of the lies of the Matrix, you know, everything seemed simpler, didn't it? You know, now your overlords are gaslighting the heck out of you to feed off of you. It's crazy. Yeah. So, you know, I'll wait until 500, check on in. Peace to everybody. You know, I hope everybody's well. Are you still reeling from the pseudo eclipse that was geoengineered by the henchmen of the Seraphim, the Deros? If you're here to be gaslit, you were in New York in 2019? Life was so simple then. I mean, granted, a lot of the lies were off the chain, but to be honest, oh, Brazier alert. Listen, let me give a FYI. I can't help what's going on here. I try to for y'all. This is the life that, you know, some of us got the big derrieres, some of us got this, some of us got a bit of everything. If you are okay with an organic woman, listen, I don't come up here too dolled up. I got a scarf on today, I got my hair braided, I got some lip gloss on, and a little bit of eyeliner. That's as much as I do. I'm from Generation X. All we cared about really was lip gloss. Big up to all the Gen Xers in here. I think millennials, you have a little bit of that because like your aunties, your big sisters were like, listen, I just like a little lip gloss. Please don't come in here and give me a whole epilogue of how I am sleeping with the devil. I am Satan because I'm busty. I'm gratefully organic. I didn't have to pay for these pops, but I have to maintain them. And sometimes they get loose, like foot loose. And I try my best to be appropriate, but I really don't want to. I want to be buck wild. Okay. So, you know, just, you know, deal with it. If you don't like organic women, if you have a fetish for, you know, anal cavities, it's probably, I'm going to piss you off. So there's a lot of channels that can, you know, toot your horn. Or you don't like me conversating or talking the way to go to another channel. Okay. I talk smack. I'm from the alien genre. I'm a little off the charts, and that's just what it is. Okay. Check on it. Oh, we're not even at 500 yet. I know I don't come and announce everything. So why I'm bringing up before 2020, like around 2019, 2020, just I want you to remember that, because what's happening now is your Willy Wonka system, which are ran by, we'll talk about who it's ran by. They're constantly gaslighting you. And now with AI is tailored to geoengineer a like an algorithm of constant controlled opposition. So like even with what happened, we're going to kind of touch on the Charlie Kirk scenario, psyop. You already know, I think psychically, telepathically, my chat, you already know that I was going to come on here and say it's a psyop, right? And psyop doesn't mean someone didn't transition. It just means that it was geoengineered by your lovely Willy Wonka systems to create a mindset, a positioning, herd you into a direction that most services their agendas. Okay? You know that, right? So just understand that. We're going to kind of touch on it a little bit. I'm going to give you my opinion based on that. I'm not going to touch on too much. And also, let me state this. Regardless if it's a psyop, how that was presented was heinous. First of all, they don't let me say the word clone on here. I've gotten taken off for saying less. They tell me that I'm violent. There's been videos that are in my archives from 2013 and 14 where they said I was being violent. Why are they showing and presenting you this image that is so heinous? It is so horrific to witness. Why would they think that's okay when all of the other YouTubers we're under a microscope and we're told that we're violent and we're showing inappropriate footage on our channels, but you're gonna just nicely free flow a man being shot in his neck with blood gushing out, like in Freddy Krueger's movie, like the fifth generation of Freddy Krueger. Like, why would that be acceptable? And then, many people, unfortunately, did not even click on that imagery. It was literally presented to them. You have to ask yourself, why would they allow that? Because they get something from it. It services their agenda, and they want you to be traumatized. They want our children to be traumatized. That imagery was inappropriate. The man is a father, regardless of how you feel about his politics. I wasn't a fan of him, but I wouldn't ever wish that on any mother, daughter, child to be presented with that. We have to understand that even though it's a psyop, and I'll get into that, that's not appropriate, okay? How it was presented. And then the psychopaths that are going out cheering that someone, ding dong, the witch is dead. I mean, come on, y'all. Or can we be better than that? You know what I mean? It's just not, like my mother would say, have some couth, okay? It's there's no such thing as Democrat and Republican, y'all. We're not at 500 yet, so I'm just kind of talking to you. There's no such thing as Democrat and Republican. There's no such thing as black and white. These things are geoengineered, socially engineered to present and position you and your mind to constantly give them a feed. Okay? There's no such thing. The people on the left and the right, their children are sleeping together. The people on the left and the right are going to the Hamptons, and they share the same space, time, and their vacations together. Okay? While you are over here presenting, the left, the right, do you really think that the less than 1% are able to separate themselves in that way? Okay? It's a lie. And if you still are kind of pulled into that mindset, white hats, black hats, anyone who says that, I already know they're under mind control. Okay? It's all socially engineered. It's all RAND simulations, psyops, and dark operations to present certain imagery, certain narratives that will direct your mind to be pulled into an agenda or multitude of agendas. Okay? All right. So, and let me also present this before we get into the topic. There isn't any way that we can prove With the way that AI runs nowadays, there isn't any way that we can prove that those occurrences that are being presented to us are actually real. Okay? How do you know it's real? Were you there? That's why I like to get boots on ground. Big up to my sea stars and sun stars. Hey, Delmashay. Happy post birthday. Delmashay's birthday, y'all. Wish her a happy birthday. That's one of the moderations in here. Wish her happy birthday, y'all. Happy birthday anniversaire. Happy anniversaire. Okay. Yeah, so how do we prove that these things are real? You have AI going rogue and people utilizing. Do you remember that article that I shared? It was an article. Remember, it was a video and an article, and it was a young man, an Indian young man. He was the only son of a um, first generation son of a mom, and he had been killed. And he was talking about how AI was literally going to be. It was dangerous. It was deathly dangerous. Hey, Jamoji. It was deathly dangerous. Okay. Oh, and also, if you guys, just for Delmashay's birthday, she has this cute little Etsy store. Delmashay, put your store in it. She makes these also for young moms, because I know a lot of you are moms on here. Big up to the abuelas. Delmashay has a store and she makes little figurines and these beautiful doll houses. Please support her. She's amazing. And we want to kind of get people out of the matrix. So go to her Etsy store, look at her littles. And if you have little girls, I know, because I know when I was little, I loved it. And I know about this time, it was like, the holidays are coming about. But I know if you have little ones, she makes the cutest things. So go check out her store and do it for her birthday. Like, remember? Okay, we're almost at 500. So, that's all I want to say about the whole. What I will say is that PSYOP was horrific. It was a setup. You have multitude of AI generated false flag, what do you call it? Uh, controlled opposition channels setting out all these different theories of what happened. Do I think that he died? Yes. Do I think he died that day? I don't think so. I think there were threats made to this man. He feared for his family and his life. Could have been a setup, like he left with his wife, because his wife kind of, when she was speaking, and I don't even know if that's his wife. That's another thing too. She looks a little different, but a grieving woman is a little different. But she said something like when the daughter came in the house, she came to us. She kind of slipped a little bit. So I think it's a psyop. I think the man definitely may have transitioned, but I don't know if it was that day. Okay. And I think that imagery was meant to traumatize us, like what they do in, the Middle East. They like to show you images so you traumatize and you get really gaslit, and I told you the people who benefit the most from us kind of giving out that kind of energy. Okay. So, and all you psychopaths, you show you're a psychopathic way. You don't go out shouting someone should die and you want their children. What kind of like, it shows your lack of humanity. You are part of mankind. Okay. And when we're talking about who's present right now, I had contact. And this was interesting. Big up to who brought up something. No, it was actually, I think it was no, it was maybe Cherish and I spoke to them yesterday, but something happened to me and I had contact. It was a couple of days of having contact, but we'll talk about it. That's what the video is about. And we'll talk about how that affects mankind, how that will inadvertently affect human kind of human and a kind of man, because we're not working with the same beings on the same planet, the same plane of existence. We're with a multitude of beings in here, and some of them are just downright hostile and diabolical. And please put a like on the video, y'all. You know what I mean? Just for icks and giggles. I know it pisses them off. I know Willy Wonka was very upset that we had discussions that we've been having, because they like to try to control me. And for everyone who's writing me letters telling me to stop talking about the black extraterrestrials, that I am literally demon riddled, because I speak about dark skinned extraterrestrials, kick rocks. You aren't going to direct, there isn't any APAC money coming over here, okay, that I would ever accept. Kick rocks. Yeah, I do what I want to do, okay? And if you know I'm from New York, you can't lead me. I lead myself. I'm from Generation X, so we're reckless and we're feral. We're like wild beasts running in the terrain, doing what we want to do. You aren't going to tell me what I want to do. If you come on this channel, you don't like the way I talk, unsubscribe. You won't ever hear me say subscribe to me, because only I want those who are in alignment with or want to hear what I have to share. If this is working with you and it messes with your peace of mind, unsubscribe. If you don't like the way that I share messages and I chat too much, unsubscribe. Okay, make it easier with us so we can be amongst those that we want to be around. Okay, we're almost to 500, so we're going to talk about everything. So big up to everyone who survived the fake eclipse. We got another one coming the 21st. We'll kind of talk on that a little bit. We got the 21st coming in strong with another fake pseudo eclipse, along with the fall equinox, along with the so-called solar flash that might happen on the 23rd, along with Rosh Hashanah. We got a lot going on, yo. We got a lot going on this planetoid we call planet Earth, or, Tiamat, whatever. Okay. Gen Y is in the house. You know what? Gen Zers, they talk a lot of smack. You might be able to save the day. We were talking about that yesterday. You might be able to, you might be able to save the day, because you're like the children of the Gen Xers, or, well, no, Gen Xers, because maybe not, maybe millennials, because I was a mother a little more seasoned in my age when I had children. You guys might be able to do it because you have the technological savvy to do it. You don't give a crap because you guys don't have jobs, licenses, or anything. You're kind of buck wild. I kind of think like you're the Buck Rogers of our time. You might just just go rogue and just collapse this entire system. I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? Like, big up to y'all. You know what I mean? They don't, the Gen Zs they don't give a rat's behind about anything. They might be the ones. They'd be like, screw it. What do they have to lose, right? Take it up, take it down, take the system down. And you saw what happened in what was it? Darn. What was it? I forgot the country. I was talking about last time. Okay, we're at 500. Okay, Nepal. Thank you, Jimoji. Yeah, so what happened to Nepal? And that was Gen Zers who did that. So don't sleep on the Gen Zers. I talk a lot of smack about the Gen Zers, but y'all are buck wild. I'm just saying. So anyway, come on in, y'all. Peace, everyone. So we're going to start our peace to the east, the west, and the south. This is Fleur Room coming to you today with some announcements. I think the last time I spoke to you, we spoke about the eclipse coming in, and I kind of wanted to wait and see how the energies affected the planet, people. I kind of wanted to get a good consensus of that. And after that time, I kind of walk into the seminar. I had contact. So let me kind of walk you through it so you kind of understand what I'm talking about. So after I had the live, and some of you realize I love coffee. So this is going to be long-winded. If you don't like story time, you may want to fast forward through this, but this is how I had contact. It was the succession of things that occurred before I had contact. So after we had our talk here on YouTube, I had been walking my dogs. I'm in a new location, beautiful, rustic. I told you I'm in like my dream world. So I was outside. It was nighttime. The wolfy people aren't in this area, even though I heard howling last night. We don't know what that was. It's probably some coyotes, maybe. So I was walking the dogs, and this is right before I had contact. And remember, they're talking about one Atlas. You're talking about the guy in Did you see the guy in Panama who found this meteor and it turned into like venom, and it's like moving around, and it doesn't need light. If you don't know this, I know I'm talking all over the place, but this is very important. The guy found a meteor. He's in Panama. He's filming it. It looks real to me, legit. You guys will find the video, and it's turning into like venom. It's walking. It doesn't need food, light, or water, and it's like growing and moving. It's wild. If you go find that video, like there's several videos, it's Freaky Friday. Weird. Okay, so I add that to it because whenever you're getting things coming in, and also big up to Selma from my group who had visual contact with ships that were above the water. She's in Mexico on the Baja side. She actually witnessed herself. She gave us the videos. Big up to Selma who shared videos on Zoom. That's why I say some of you who join Zoom, sometimes you get the gems because we get real boobs on ground showing us real footage. She actually showed us footage of an actual ship that was hovering above the beach, like above it. So she showed us this on Zoom. It's off the chain. If I get a chance, Selma, I'll ask her if I can share this. And also, after that, she actually saw something in the water that was reminiscent of perhaps a ship that was inside the waterway that looked the girth of a ship. But what she saw in the sky was huge. And when we saw, like, even when she took the image, she was saying that the way that she could see it and perceive it was not the way the image was showing up on the camera. You know that personally, I think that the technology we have with these cameras on these cell phones, these themselves are meant to cloak UFOs and other extraterrestrials, interterrestrials, or interdimensional beings. They have filters inside of our phones that are purposefully created. That's why they don't want you using a regular camera anymore. You notice that, right? Everything is digitalized because it can be changed and muted. So that's why I tell you all the time, try not to take pictures. If you do UFOs, if you want to take pictures of anything, aerial, aliens, or anything, you got to kind of do it with an old school Polaroid. I know the film is expensive, or do it with an old Pentax camera. Okay, that's the way you can capture the images of aliens or other beings or ships without the filter that your phones had. The phones were purposefully created to create imagery that would be muted or to block certain images from being captured. Okay, an old BlackBerry, Son of Ra, absolutely. So that's just my suggestion for you. Okay, so she showed this image. So imagine she shared this on Zoom. Afterwards, I went to walk the dog and I stopped drinking regular coffee. So some of you know me for a long time. This matters in the share because this is also part of a byproduct of subconsciously aware that you're about to have contact. It's almost like you know that you have to clear your body. And if many of you know from over the years, I do fasting. And generally, because I am a coffee drinker, which is like a love but a devil in the same breath, I usually have to fast 3 days from coffee in order to do a proper fast. Because if I do a fast with detoxing off coffee, I'm just loopy. I don't feel good. I have headaches. So I generally will do a detox of coffee before I do a fast. So at this time, after the Zoom, I decide to do a detox off of coffee. Go figure. I go to walk the dogs one night. As I'm walking the dogs, it's dark. I don't put lights outside. I use the light of the moon or the stars, just illuminate. I'm not big on, unless I'm hearing crazy sounds. But I have 4 dogs, so if anything's out there crazy, the dogs are going to alert me. Walking the dogs, and I'm in a new area, and I'm looking up the hill where I'm walking the dogs, and it's nighttime, mind you. So I have the glistening of the moon a little bit, like coming down, and behind the trees, I'm seeing like. You ever see like when someone does graffiti on a wall and it's a black image? Do you guys kind of get me? You ever see? I got to give you the so I can kind of share how it looked. You ever go somewhere and you see them do graffiti and it's like a black image, like an outline of a body of a person? Imagine I'm walking the dogs are walking, I'm just, accompanying them, and I'm looking up into the trees. And it's weird because something alerted me. It's like something kind of just like my spidey senses told me to look up. And I look up and I see trees are brown. And even at night, they're not dark. They're just brown, but just darker brown. I see images, like black images around the trees, like almost like someone cut and paste these black cardboard pieces and put them on the side of the tree. So one would be like on the side, like posted, but you can't see anything but the images of like a black image on the side of a tree, not hiding itself, like kind of like behind the tree, but on the side. So when you're looking at the image, it almost looks superimposed on the tree. Do you guys kind of get me? I'm trying to give you the image that I saw. So do you get me? So I'm looking, and at first I see one. So I'm thinking it's a trick of the eyes, it's the moon. So, but remember, something told me to look over there. So I'm thinking to myself, that's just my imagination. Or I'm seeing something that's, maybe it's just a trick of the eyes. So my dog, which, is my Siberian Husky, I have the one that has a blue and a brown eye. That's my dog. She turns in the area where I'm looking, like out of the blue. Just she's walking, the other dogs are walking, and then all of a sudden she turns. That's the one who's really super, super, she has a super like sight interdimensionally. That's what I think. So she turns and she looks at that same spot. And I say to her, "Do you see what I see?" And she sits down and looks. Then another image on the other side, like 2 trees down, another superimposed black image, like a can't explain it to you. It does it freaks you out because it's like imagine someone taking a cardboard image but superimposing it on the side of trees, but that no one can do that. It's like black imagery, just dark. It's not a black person or anything, but it's just a dark image, like a shadow, superimposed on another tree and another location of the tree. This time it's in front of the tree, kind of like with part of it going around. So she turns from the location I saw the first image and turns to the street. So I know that whatever I'm seeing is something that's there. It's something she saw. I'm not let's just say she's confirming that I'm not imagining. The other dogs are too far out, they're not paying attention, but this is the dog that tends to see things very well in the night. So I get freaked out because when I look to another tree, I don't see a black image, but I see something move, like almost like I can't explain, like a shadow move around. Imagine a big tree. They're big trees, y'all. I'm kind of like next to a forest. Imagine a big tree and something moves like it looks slithery. It moves like this, and I jump back, y'all, because as much as I'm a contactee, things like that in the night that go bump in the night, I jump back and kind of yelped a bit like, oh! And the other dogs reacted, and then they started to bark. And I was like, we're going back in the house. So I'm backing up because I don't want to turn my back to whatever that is. And I have to pull my other dog because she's super interested in these images, these things that are showing up on the tree. So I don't know what they are. But when I saw one move, see, it's different when you see the image superimposed and it's not moving. But when you see something slither and you don't know what it is, you back the freak up. Like I'm backing up. I'm not stupid. You know what I mean? People think, oh, let's go investigate. No, I'm not investigating. Okay. Because I'm out there with my dogs. It's nighttime. I can't really understand what I'm seeing. And then I see something move. So I know something is there. And it's not an animal because it's moving in a way that's not animalistic. It's something moving around. So right then, I don't know what it is. I can't tell you what that was, but that was the start of a contact that started what later happened. So I'm backing up. I had the little yelp. The dogs are massively alert. My other dog does not want to move. So I'm pulling her. So I'm going back and I'm backing up towards the house. And I don't see anything because now my eyesight, I don't have my eyesight as I get a little more seasoned. It's not as great as. So I'm just backing up. I'm backing up because I don't want to bring anything in the house. I don't know what that is. I know that there's things coming in ships. So you don't know what's going on. And why I mentioned the venom guys, because when he was doing that thing with the meteor, with that thing growing in nighttime without food or water, that's in my mind as well. Because if we have things coming on land that are foreign to this terrain, it could be a lot of different creatures that are here. We assume that there would be corporeal or physicality of humanoid or something bipedal. It does not mean that. Okay. So I'm backing up and I go in the house. So that's why I have to start this share of how I had contact with the Seraphim, a type of Seraphim females from ancient Sumerian women. And I say that with not the fullest context. Okay. So that happens on Day of Coffee. This happened a couple of days ago. Okay. So mind you, I'm in the house. I'm kind of freaked out. I talked to another sea star. I don't know what that is. I can't say it's alien or otherwise because it could be something that I'm just not aware of. Okay. So that night I was getting withdrawal symptoms of the coffee. This is not coffee, y'all. This is like a chai that I made that I'm trying to, now that I'm off my coffee detox, I'm just drinking like a chai to just kind of mitigate some of my my drinking needs. Okay, so I back up, I go in the house, I go inside, and I talk to another sea star, and we're talking about it. I was like, I don't know what I saw, I don't know what it is. It could be something alien. She's laughing it off. It was like, okay, maybe something. But that night I had contact. Now when I say I have contact, people always ask if it's in dream state, physical state. For me, contact is usually physical, like meaning that I'm taken up. I have physical. I can feel. Many of you know I talk about how you know you're dreaming, or how you know if you're conscious in your dream state, if you're lucid. There's tests I've given you over the years. Like if you're lucid, if you go into dream state and you pinch yourself, you can tell if you're lucid. So if you pinch yourself and it's numb, it's because you're like in a dream state. But if you pinch yourself or you smell things and you have your sensory is really heightened, it's usually because you're either astrally in another dimensional space where you've traveled, or you might be in a physical dimension where you've been shifted. You've shifted, either jumped into another timeline, you've been pulled into another one. But this one seems that I was extracted out of this physical plane. And this was the night, this is after the incident that happened. I didn't associate the trees until now. Later on, hindsight is 2020. So I'm associating everything afterwards with what I saw imagery wise. And context is also big up to our C Star who mentioned this. I had met I gotta be careful. Let's just say this. I met an astrophysicist. Okay. This means something as well. Okay. I met an astrophysicist. Now, mind you, they were a family member of somewhere where I'm living. Okay. Now, why, when you have contact, it's very relative, because everything will present itself around you to kind of pull you into the energy of having contact with certain beings. Now, I didn't realize this until I spoke to M last night. So big up to M, who kind of made me aware that this was this is part of how the contact before it happened. I had met a geophysicist. What did I say? He's a, oh God, he's a geophysicist. Oh God, I just said it. My mind is going. Okay, so I met this gentleman and we were talking with a family member. I said, "Oh, I have a grandson and he's an astrophysicist. Sorry, he's an astrophysicist. Oh, he would be great. He's into aliens and all that stuff." And I was like, sometimes it's like an elderly person, so you think, "Oh, wow, it's cute that they think that the person is into aliens and stuff." Because I don't hide who I am. Whenever I'm somewhere, people will see me go out and sky gaze, go out and take pictures. So I don't hide who I am, obviously, right? So I go and meet this gentleman who's an astrophysicist, young guy. And what's interesting, he shared a lot of things that he deals with in his profession. And it's not every day, thank you, Em, for reminding me, it's not every day you meet an astrophysicist who is introduced to you. Almost like, if I didn't know any better, I would think that this was purposefully set up. This was perfectly, am I even on? Did I freeze, y'all? I'm still on? Okay. Okay. I'm just making sure. I thought I froze. Sometimes things happen and you meet people that will bring other things to you. So I met him and we were talking for a while. I mean, just like talking to one of you guys. It was wonderful because imagine an astrophysicist, y'all, who's got all the know, and he would get, I don't want to say it here online, but I will tell you, he shared some things that I was like, this is interesting. Like, you're sharing certain things that have to do with your job, but things that I would never have access to knowing. You know what I mean? It's like, sometimes don't close your circle to people. Leave it open, because this, to me, I think was purposefully done, because he was connected to what was coming from the other worlds. Now, many of you know, I know for a fact that many of the ships that we're seeing, and this is over the last couple of years, they always make it seem like the ships are coming from above, right? They always say that the alien ships or UFOs are coming above. I actually have to debunk that. And it's been only in my later part of being on YouTube that I've come to the awareness that most of the ships are coming from underneath the water. They're coming from the subterranean levels, meaning that they're not coming aerial wise. They're not coming from above. They're coming from below. Okay. So I'm speaking to him. He's giving me a whole bunch of they're not needless bits of information, but things that I was so intrigued about. I was like, wow, I didn't know they did this. I didn't know they knew this. I didn't know that they're creating this. Like, he was amazing, and he was all in the awareness. Now, why this matters, because now I saw imagery of this weird black poster images on trees a night. I'm detoxing off of coffee, right? So my body is starting to have more clarity, more awareness. Remember, once you take out a muter out of your body, coffee. As much as I'm in love with coffee, I told you, coffee is like the lover that keeps loving. And I just have a love-hate relationship with coffee. But it is something that can mute your sensory. Anything that is directly socially engineered in our in our habits is definitely something that we should question, because a lot of times your Willy Wonka systems will geoengineer certain types of habitual behavior of its citizens to do certain things, to mute certain things, to block certain things. That's why when you're fasting, like I'm doing now, you're fasting, you have so much clarity. You have so much. You can hear better, you can see better, you can visually, I mean, if you were telepathic, like, it becomes 10 times more. If you're psychic, it's much, much more. Come, 5-5. Okay. So let's go for it. So I have this meeting with an astrophysicist. It's an odd meeting. I don't know this gentleman from Adam. I met him through an elder, which I just met, and now I realize that this was all being presented at a time. Can you guys hear my dogs? They're loud. I hope you can. They like to bark. 5. Come on, baby. Okay. Okay. So after this, I had gone to bed one night, and I remember feeling to myself, like, I felt a little nauseous. I had a headache. I wasn't feeling well. This is why, big up to the Zoomies. I couldn't do Zoom. I was detoxing. I had a headache. I could not get rid of it. I felt like the only thing I could do was try to sleep. So I ended up going to sleep. But again, I get like this weird kind of like, it's like before I get contact, I always get a bodily like vibration, like the body's like pulsing, like if it's your pulse. Imagine your pulse. And Dr. Blair was the one who actually helped me to cultivate the awareness of this. So big up to Dr. Blair. Rest in power, Dr. Blair. He helped me. Back in the days, I did not know what this was. I was having heavy contact at the time when I used to kiki with Dr. Blair, but I didn't know what it was, because I would get these weird kind of pulsing, but the pulsing would go with like the pulsing of the body would go along with the heartbeat. So you get like boom, boom, boom. Do you understand? Like boom. And then it would kind of speed up a little bit, boom, 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 and then stop, boom, 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 just like that. And it would happen, like, start off at the feet. So I'm thinking, oh, I gotta work on circulation. Automatically I'm thinking, oh, okay, because your mind does not want to capture, or sometimes it doesn't catch up to what's happening. Even though I've had contact several times, it doesn't necessarily go, like, people always think I'm just hyper aware all the time. No, because if I had a regular day, I'm detoxing off of coffee, even though I'm having these expressions of weirdness, I don't associate physical things all the time with contact. Okay. So my body's starting to vibrate at the feet. It's like, woo, woo, woo. Then the legs, and then it's starting to happen all over. And I'm thinking to myself, I was like, it could be circulation, but this is very familiar. And I was like, oh, it could be something having like a level of like interface with me. I know that at this point, especially when it starts going up here, I know it's something most likely maybe having interface. So I know we're in a very pinnacle time. I know that A1 Atlas is said to be coming. I know that we're at the crux of a reset. I know that the Deros are doing crazy things right now. I know that we just had an eclipse that was causing a lot of reaction from the Deros, the henchmen, the Deros, to do all these false flags and all these types of psyops. So I know that that's a distraction, usually from other things. So when they do a psyop, y'all, you do know that also they feed off of that reaction, controlled reaction. So they feed off of that, but also it's a way to deter you from focusing on other things that are happening that they don't want you to know. So let's say we're having a whole ship coming out of the sky. They don't want you to pay attention to it. So what they do is they create a false physical narrative. Oh, Puff Daddy's being arrested for baby lotion that gives you sexual perversions. You understand? So they'll give you this whole physical, like matrix reality big thing to deter you from knowing what's going on outside. And that in itself is important for you to realize, because every time they create these type of activities, every time they create these types of scenarios, it's because they're trying to distract you from other things that are happening outside of that. Okay, it was a big distraction. And also with this gentleman who was just so-called assassinated on national television, you got to ask yourself that something like that's happening is also distracting you, because that was a big psyop. That wasn't just a little psyop. That was huge. And if you looked online for the last, how many days? All you've been seeing is Charlie Kirk, Charlie Kirk, Charlie Kirk, different people. And you know that AI is running the system right now. So all you're seeing is AI rolling out all of these so-called conspirators talking about the different ways he was shot. It was this person, that person. That's meant to further confuse you, and then throw you into the middle of being distracted, because God knows if we had a whole alien invasion, nobody would have noticed, because everyone was superimposed to the screen watching a man being shot to death on national television. Okay, so we had a lot of distractions during this time. So so let me go back to the scenario. So I had this pulsating. I knew at the point when it hit here that it was most like something interfacing with me, and then I was presented with a woman. Now, this is what's interesting, because I always talk about contact in a way, I got to contextualize it. You know that I'm in contact with the Andromedans. I always talk about the Andromedans and the Nibirians and how they look visually. This woman she was face to face like this. And when she was presented to me, when she showed herself to me and she was talking to me, I recognized her. I didn't recognize her in a knowing, like how I would recognize things in this time space, but I recognized her face. I recognized her vibration. I knew that she knew me, and I knew that I knew her. And she's just happy talking to me. She's kind of fiddling with my hair. She's kind of talking in a way that reminds me as if someone hasn't seen you for a long time and is fascinated by how you're presented. Do you understand? It's like, let's say you haven't seen, I don't know, maybe you went to college, right? And you haven't seen this person in years, and they've just literally changed completely. Like, you don't even recognize them when you see them. So you're really happy to see them. And you're just kind of like, you're kind of remarking how they look to you, how they look. So she's looking at me, and I'm looking at her, and I'm fascinated because I recognize her. I know who this woman is, but I don't know who she is. So I recognize, and the first thing I recognize is that I know her from Sumer. Ancient Samaria. Now, many of you know, if you've been a part of my channel over the years, I always spoke about the fact that I hadn't any connection to ancient Egypt, but I always had a connection to ancient Sumeria. And I know over the years, before I didn't understand why. As time went on and I met different people, I met different intellists and also different whistleblowers, and I got a chance to do research on my own of ancient Sumer, I understood at a time that I was present there, and that was a main place that I was when I came and I was incarnated in this realm. Okay. And I have a family member that I'm really close to that I recognize when they were born, that they were from this time. I could remember the smells, the incense, everything. This woman had all of that energy on her. She was beautiful. And what's different about her, because people asked if this was the Andromedans, no, she was actually like, you ever see women from, and I gotta say this, like the Persian women, like you ever see ancient, I put an image as far as like, her skin was a lot darker though. She was very, very dark skinned, but she had the image of the women of ancient, like the Persian women. You ever see a Persian woman, like a woman from Persia? Beautiful hair, kind of like either straight or wavy, very Middle Eastern, kind of what you perceive to be their features, but dark skin. She wasn't light. She's very dark with like a copper gold undertone. Can you kind of imagine that imagery? I can't, a close as image as I can get as I put the pin in, she looked like women of those times. Very beautiful, very mystical, captivating, Just like if you watch old Arabian movies, like old Arabian night movies where you see the women wearing the thing over there. You ever see the women? It was beautiful. Remember those old movies? Some of us for Generation X, we were kind of raised on those old Arabian night movies when they would have like this veil over here and you would only see their eyes, kind of like that. Okay. But she didn't have a veil, but I could see her face. But this is the imagery. This is how she looked. And she basically was, happy to see me, talking about wanting to see me again tomorrow, the things we're going to do, and just happy that she's here. So this was the first night. So when I came back into my body and I was aware, I was like thinking to myself, like, she's here, but why is she here? Like, why would that being from ancient Sumer be present here? And I just was wrapping my mind around just kind of like theorizing things like maybe she's on a ship, but that's not Nibiru. She doesn't look like a Nibirian. But where is she coming from? Like even in my mind, I can't wrap myself around that thought. I know her, but where do I know her from? I know she's from ancient Sumer, but is she here? But why is she here? So that happened for like a whole day. And again, mind you, I have a headache still. I'm not feeling well. I'm detoxing off of coffee. I'm having this wait. Okay. Fleur is right there running in nonstop. Okay. And she had a gold undertone, like very, I can't explain it, y'all. If some of you can find imagery, it's a very unique look, but I know it's like an ancient Persian look of women, wavy or straight hair, very Arabian features, but very dark skin with copper or gold undertones. It's something you would recognize. Like when you look at her, it's in someone ancient. It's someone from an ancient bloodline, because that phenotype is not, when you look at Middle Eastern women, they're very fair skinned now. Where did their color go? Like that disappeared. And from the times that they were living there when the sun was that hot, the women were very dark skinned. Where does she come from? Ancient Sumer, but why is she here? So the next night came about, and I remember thinking to myself that I might have to break fast. As I said this, I may have to break fast because again, I wasn't feeling well, and I realized part of the contact. Remember years ago, I this is again, hindsight is 2020. At the time, I had a really bad headache. I'm theorizing things I don't know. And I want to be honest with you. I don't want to make it seem like, how people say they have contact. I know who it was. I know. No, it's like you're putting pieces of the puzzle that you don't even have together. You're trying to surmise who's in contact. Why do you recognize them? I know that ancient Sumer, I have a connection to. I know that I have family members that I do that are very connected to that realm, but I have no other clues. And then I'm not feeling well. And I had to remember, oh my God, like a lot of times when we have contact, one of the things I've talked about over the years is that physically you don't feel well. Physically, a lot of times when you have contact, your body, like when you're in contact with beings that are outside of your physical dimensional frequencies, it messes with your biosphere. It messes with your body's, like your body's frequency. So imagine you're with a being that's outside of your frequency, your dimensional space. It's not something that you would be exposed to in this realm. And then all of a sudden, they come in contact with you. It messes with how your body feels. So now I'm realizing that some of the reactions that I thought was just me not drinking coffee, me having detox, some of this was happening because I was being groomed for the experience with the beings in the forest, superimposing themselves. They could have been them, but I couldn't see them, right? I couldn't see them. With the astrophysicist that was introduced to me out of the blue. Like, why would someone, I'm just a Negro woman from Mount Vernon, New York. No, why would someone want to introduce me to their grandson, who's an astrophysicist, who just so happens to be in the study and create objects that go into space? Why then, after I'm having all these weird occurrences, do I meet a woman that I know, but she looks like an ancient from back in the days? Now, this is going to go left. And as fascinating as this may seem, it's going to take I don't want to call it for you. I'll let you register it for what you want. After that experience, I was extracted again, and I met two other women that were kin or connected to the first woman I met. The first one I feel might be in hierarchy, maybe higher than the others, but they're all together in the same kind of, they have the same, I want to use the right words, interest. Interest. All three had the same interest. The other women I met, same thing, I know them, and they gave me the reason why they're here. Now, I'm calling them my own term. I could be wrong. Remember, I leave everything that I don't know to tell you because I'm calling them the Seraphim. I'm calling them the beings that we call the Dark Lords are like Lordeuses, like Seraphim Lordeuses. And when we read the book, we did book club in Zoom. This is maybe in 2022, 21. We read a book, and it was with Errol. It was called Area 51. I always tell you guys to read it. It was great. Ada from the group at the time, and Marsha D, they were a group. They had suggested the book. We read it. It was fascinating because I have to always return to what the alien said. It was Matilda, who was the woman who was working in the base as a nurse, and it was Errol, which was the being that was living inside of like a gray doll being that was caught. They captured it, and they were trying to interrogate it. I remember what Errol said, which was the alien being inside of this inorganic kind of gray being. It said that the reason why it chose to speak to the one woman on the base is because that's almost like she knew she could trust the female. She didn't trust the male. She could hear their thoughts, and the female, because everything in space was female. Stay with me. Stay with me. Everything in space is female. That's stuck in my head because see, the dogs are being activated. If you take that in consideration, an alien having interface, talking to the only female on base, and then you're looking at the agenda over the last 5 years of changing all men to women. That was like the main thing. Like the whole trans movement is men trying to go into womanship, going and changing, transform. And I always use the movie Yentl. I know it's a Yiddish movie. I really like the movie. I'm from Generation X. We watch a lot of movies with a lot of different people. But if you watch the movie Yentl, it's a Jewish movie. It's about a Jewish woman who could not read. She wasn't allowed to read. She was blocked from reading. So she dressed as a man in order to take the advantages of the society at the same time. You getting where I'm going, right? This trans movement, even though it had women that wanted to be men, it was more men that wanted to be women. I actually think it's it's mankind having a subconscious awareness that they aren't regarded the same as females. And whatever's coming will judge them based on their inequalities. You kind of get it? The women told me why they're here. Now, this in itself, let me say this, and I'm going to share this, and I give you an exit point where you may want to leave, because it's not that this is not something, this is the part I don't want to share, and I'm going to share it anyway, because I'm just going to be honest about it. How do I say this? Okay, I'm trying to be politically correct, and I'm normally not, but I know it's going to bother people to hear this. Imagine if you watch the movie Jupiter Ascending. Is it called Jupiter Rising and Jupiter Ascending? Do you guys remember that? Do you remember the movie Jupiter Ascending, everyone? Yeah? Okay. Do you remember what the beings were doing when they were going to planets? What these seraphim let me know is that They're present to harvest, to cultivate what was contracted to harvest, which is mankind. They're here. I'm going to make a joke out of it because I have to lighten up the spirit. It's like women who spend $400 on a face cream, and they're coming to Neiman Marcus. They had someone create it for them so that they can come and collect on their investment. These Seraphim are here. These ancient Sumerian women. Now it makes me understand why some people felt like the Anunnaki were negative, even though it's not the same beings. I don't think they're the same. I think these are other beings that have literally utilized this terrain to harvest, to maintain their life force. What they basically said is that they're here to collect on their I want to say like a product, like what their investment. And the crazy thing is why certain people have been called the chosen people. This is the part that's going to freak you out, and it will make sense to you, because I spoke to other sea stars about this because it bothered me. It bothered me because I understood now why we're having so much chaos now, and what's the reason for that, and why there's certain people creating it and there's nobody giving them any sort of repercussions for it. Who we call the Deros, and you know who I'm talking about. The Deros, they are the chosen people because they were chosen to cultivate and to create the chaos necessary to make the proper harvest for these Seraphim. They have literally contracted the Deros as the henchmen. And I like to say like this. You ever watch a vampire movie? I always give you good examples because I want to give you when you see vampires, they always have a caretaker that takes care of them, that takes care of their coffin, that takes care of them, that makes sure that they have a safe space for them, that travels with them, make sure if they bring people to the house to feed them. Do you understand what I'm saying? You understand? Vampires have a henchman. These chosen people are contracted. They were promised. That's why, y'all, there's no consequence. That's why nothing is being done. They are doing exactly what they were contracted to do. These Seraphim, these dark Lordeuses, are here for harvesting mankind. They're here to collect on their Neiman Marcus skin cream that was supposed to be created for them. That's why you see them rushing and getting rid of killing all these people and murdering people to create the right prime environment to create loosh. You know, when you talk about adrenochrome, this is planetary adrenochrome, y'all. This is planetary adrenochrome that's being created here. That's why we're seeing the most chaotic, we're seeing the most horrific behavior, insidious behavior, and nothing is being done about it, because this is what was purposefully created for this particular realm with these beings that are mankind. Now, remember, not everybody, notice I said mankind is supposed to be harvested in this. I didn't say humankind. I said mankind. You know, when we have products on when you go to the store and you have generic medication, you'll have medication that's generic, and it mimics the same, modality. It has some of the same modalities as the real prescription, the real medication, but it's slightly different. Maybe certain other lower graded materials. Mankind is perceived as that. This is what they told me. Mankind is the beings that were cultivated, created specifically for this type of harvesting. These dark Liliths, these Seraphim Lordeuses, are coming here to basically get good on their goods. The henchmen, who are called chosen people, are doing exactly what they were contracted for. What do they get in return? Eternal knowledge and information. After reset and pole shift, they're allowed to hold on to the knowledge and the information so that they don't forget. That's why every time we come back from reset, they're doing the same thing. The Dark Brotherhood, they are able to recycle the environment and create another society where people are not in the know, but they know everything. That's the secret, is that they have all of the information that is never forgotten and never lost. They have technology that's assisting them. The Seraphim have allotted them a position of almost like they get a amnesty from doing these dark deeds. That's why I say it's bittersweet, because you ask yourself, like, why would I know these women? Why would that be something I know? How does that connect to me personally? It's because I come from a time where these women existed and I had an awareness, and they had an awareness of myself. And some would say, like, why would they reveal that to you? Because it doesn't matter. What does it matter? Is it going to stop the killings and the murders? Is it going to stop anything that's occurring? Me telling you this is not going to stop anything. They're going to keep doing what they're doing because they were contracted by these dark Lordeuses from ancient Sumer that have come back on making sure that they can harvest their planetary loosh, their adrenochrome, their Earth Terra adrenochrome, that they're able to, that they contracted these Deros, these Jesuits, to create for them so that they can feed off of it. Watch Jupiter rising. And you could say that it sounds crazy, but think about it, because after I'm told that, everything made sense. Because I'm looking at the world, I'm like, how is it possible that every governmental official, every Willy Wonka system is doing exactly what they're doing, and there's no repercussion? Like, there's nothing stopping them. What at the top is allowing this? What at the top is promoting this? Because, they wouldn't be able to do it, and they're being rewarded for it. They're being paid for it. They're being contracted for it. Why? We talk about so many layers of the society. We talk about the children being killed for their adrenochrome, but there's a bigger adrenochrome that's being harvested, and it's called mankind. So I wanted to share this information. There's more to the story. I kind of want to leave it at there. I want you to kind of give your opinion about it. It's what I've been told. I know it's true. And, I never say, I don't know everything on how this happened. Was this always a place where this was? How humankind, I do know this. You have an opportunity as a human, remember this. You have an opportunity as a human to be able to raise your frequency and keep it here so that you're not harvestable. What do they need the children to feel when they're harvesting the adrenochrome? They need them to be in fear, horror, sadness, like hopelessness. They require that of the children to get the biggest rush, the biggest amount of adrenochrome out of them. What is necessary as humankind is if you're human, this is what I'll say, and this is my take. Human, you have a soul. You're encased with an actual soul that doesn't get manufactured in a Cabbage Patch field or a factory or cloning or the children that were on those orphan trains. You got to ask yourself, how come back in the days, all those 1920s movies, remember Annie? Maybe you've watched Annie, right? It's a hard not life for us. It's a hard not life for us. Instead of kisses, we get kicked. Remember Annie? Remember Oliver Twist? Why are all those movies from the 1920s about orphanages? And then we were having a conversation about this a while. I was like, there was a lot of orphanages where you couldn't tell the origin of where children came from because they were being geo-engineered and created. But guess what? After people started to become suspicious of it, guess what they created after that? Let's see if anybody can figure that out. When they knew that people were on to orphanages, what did they create? Which was another form of orphanage, but they had to change the name. What they create? Voice art with Z. Foster care. Foster care systems and insane asylums. Yes, asylums were also a big back in the days. Group homes, foster care, right? You have children that need homes, right? They don't have homes. The parents are, not doing well. They're taking into so on. They had to create another form of the same thing they had, the same distribution of Cabbage Patch children, of orphan train, of incubator children. They had to. Oh my God, Auntie's son, 69. Thank you so much. Oh, I appreciate it. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you for the donation. DCFS. You're right. Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you, One Take Son 69. Thank you. 69 is important because I was getting contact with some messages from 1969. Thank you for that. DCFS. They created the foster care system to purposefully detract us off of our suspicions. Babette. Off of our suspicions. Babette, come. That there was something going on. Punky Brewster. Look at Babette, y'all. Look at Babette being naughty. Look at Babette. Say hi. See, Babette is look. Babette is photobombing. Babette. Babette, what is going on? Hold on. Let me give them attention, y'all. Get Punky Brewster. Hold on, y'all. My dogs need some love. Hold on. Okay. It's okay. What's wrong? Okay. So this in itself, you have to realize they created. Remember, I said that many of you know I went after Nature Boy back in the days. Many of you know because this was a thing for what was this? How many years ago was that, y'all? That was he's been so-called in prison. And I made this claim before. I said the pseudo-conscious community. What I noticed about a lot of the men coming into online talking about they were conscious and they were going to share consciousness with the brown community, I noticed a lot of them didn't have origins. They didn't have a mother and father that we could source, like Brother Polite, Nature Not, who else? There's a couple other males. Was it Nature Not, Brother Polite? There was a couple others that were on. Do you remember them, y'all? I'm not sure if Young Pharaoh had parents either. Anyway, I don't know if he ever spoke. But what I'm saying is that a lot of them came out of DCF or the foster care system, and we could not source where they came from. My spidey sensors are saying that these were Cabbage Patch, geoengineered. When I'm distinguishing between mankind, y'all, when I'm telling you about mankind and humankind, there are beings here that we're coexisting with, but are not origined from the womb. They are not sourced from the womb. They are created in laboratories. They are created in incubators. And then because we have foster care and we have these, Babette, we have these foster care systems that, that distribute these children from non-viable sources. Sometimes the children do have parents and people have visits from the parents. I'm not saying all, but what a wonderful way to funnel in non-organic humans into the population without people questioning it. So when I'm telling you that these women distinguish between the Seraphim, these dark Lordeuses distinguish the difference between generic drugs and non-generic drugs. They distinguish between the two. So when they're saying that they're here to harvest mankind, I'm not saying that they won't harvest humans, but what I will say is if you have a soul encased, you have an opportunity to wake up outside of the firmament. You have an opportunity to wake up outside of that, to be a I don't want to say it's a victim, a non-participant in the harvesting. Because you have a soul. Your cord runs outside of the encasement of this firmament. So you have the opportunity. All of the Cabbage Patch, all of those were geoengineered, like in a factory, for this particular, to make the harvest more robust. There wasn't enough humans, they needed more. So what did they do? They mass produced fake cloned meat. It's like the whole thing with clone meat. We're upset about the clone meat, but that's the subconscious coming to light, telling us they have clone meat around us, the beings that are geoengineered. We have Cabbage Patch beings that are created for this particular harvest, to be able to be harvested and to be able to be used by these beings. That's what the whole term Goyim meant. Do you know there's people that call people Goyim? Why would they have that terminology? Where would that come from? Who would have created that terminology? Unless the people who are the chosen ones, who are contracted by the dark Seraphim, were told that the reason why you can do things to the Goyim, because there's no consequence, because they're not real. Let that sink in. You see all these places where there's a high concentration of people. Where do all these people come from? We always assume that they were birthed, but how do we know that? Why do you have people with the same last name, like 50 million people with the same last name? Like, why when you go into like Asia, you'll see like thousands of people with the last name Lee, 50,000 people with the last name Chow. Why do they all have the last name? You know how you have a brand of car? You know what I mean? What do you have? You know, you have a brand of car like Toyota, Honda. I told you, not everything here is the same, y'all. Not everything is the same. We have people that are basically geoengineered. You know, in China, no concentration. I'm just speaking about China because we know they do this for a fact. You know that they imprison people and they take their organs, right? Without their choice. Like they harvest people's organs perpetually. It's regular. If you go to jail, they can just take your organs. What if this realm, there were beings, geoengineered, Cabbage Patch people, in mass, basically created to give a bigger number, a bigger amount of the loosh necessary, the adrenochrome, the Earth Terra adrenochrome that's necessary, that these women wanted that they contracted these henchmen, the Deros. They are the chosen people. That's why I'm telling you, they're wrong. They're not wrong. But when someone says they're chosen, you got to ask, who were they chosen by, and who were they chosen? Why were they chosen for? What were they chosen for? If I say to you, I'm chosen, you say, by who? For what? They are chosen. They are chosen to be the henchmen of the Seraphim to harvest mankind. Thus, the chaos, the horrible sexualities, the children being killed, the women being raped. We're living in a world where literally all the things that are dark are just basically being plastered all over social media to dampen and lower your frequency, to make you into that darkness, to put you into that mind frequency vibration, to make you harvestable for the best adrenochrome ever. Watch the movie. Jupiter Ascended. Watch it again from a different lens. You could call me crazy. This is something I know now. I had contact with one and then other two. There's three of them. I think these are the three that harvest this entire world. And I think that movie was basically a biography of what they do and how they do it. They have every bit of what we talk about in that movie. The Greys were harvesting organs, right? Why were they taking eggs from regular people, right? They were taking eggs from a girl, right? And they found out that she was a soul being, right? She wasn't a byproduct. They make it seem like she was a clone of the original. No. The reason why she was able to become aware and was and almost like conscious in that kind of that mindset, because she was actually real. What they'll do is they'll give you a whole lot of truth in a movie and then they'll flip something. It's kind of like big up to our C-Star who reminded me of the Night of the Comet. If some of you are Generation X, you remember the movie Night of the Comet. And in Night of the Comet, they show this a comet, the astrological event that happens when the asteroid comes out. Everybody goes out to witness it, and everybody outside turns to red dust, and everybody inside of metal is preserved and survives. And what I'm telling you, in that movie, they flipped the truth. They flipped it because in reality, if you're inside a metal, you're going to be microwaved. And if you're outside in an organic air, you're going to be preserved. They're making it seem like metal was your friend in that movie. Do you see how they flip it? Night of the Comet, y'all, watch it again. They flip the truth. It's just like with vampires. You know, big up to the C-Star who brought this up in Zoom. It's like they'll say vampires, oh my God, the vampires hate garlic. But in truth, garlic, when you consume it, what does it do to the blood? I want somebody in here, our medical facility. Come on, let's work together. So you get this information. What does garlic do when you consume it, y'all? You tell me. Let's get some. Woo, Jamoji just came in straight in the front. It thins it out. It makes it easier to pull the blood out of someone if the blood is thinner. So meanwhile, they tell you to not eat, that vampires hate garlic, but meanwhile, so they want the people to consume as much garlic, thinking it's going to deter and deflect the vampires. Meanwhile, the vampires want you to have it because it thins out the blood. It makes it easier to pull out the blood. Do you see what I'm saying? Be careful. The movies tell you the truth, just like in Jupiter Ascending. They made it seem like she was the clone, but everybody else was the clone. She was the original. She had a soul. She had a connection to outside of there. And they kept verifying and verifying and verifying. Remember, she had to do all these verifications. You know how the sovereign people be like, I got to do verification paperwork. I got to do verification paperwork. You see how they put it in there? Big up to the sovereign wars, because y'all are in there too. The verification. She's got to get certified. She's got to do this. You got to watch it. You got to watch it. Yo, I'm just saying, these are the things that we have to now think from the lens. The Seraphim that I met, I have a relationship with these women. I'm not sure how far back. I know them and I have a good relationship with them. But what they let me know is something that everybody needs to know. They're here. And the fact that they're here right now means that that Deagle report that talks about how many people are removed from this planet in 2025, that means when they're here, that means we're about to have a huge event. Okay. And let's go into the fact that to 21st is another, this one's a solar eclipse. We have the fall equinox. We have on the 23rd, which supposedly big up to Selma from my other group, Selma from Canada, big up to Vancouver, my homegirl, Selma. We have the event. I don't know. You know, we don't know this one. We do know that this is something that is a plausibility, is that they're supposed to be on the day of Rosh Hashanah. If I'm not, am I correct? Rosh Hashanah is on the 23rd. The solar flash is supposed to happen. Fall equinox is the harvest season. Sabrina, I didn't even know that. Thank you for that, Sabrina. Sabrina XX just said it's the harvest season. Go figure that. Okay. Sure. Thank you so. So I don't. Okay, I'm gonna leave it at that because I think I'm kind of going. Can I leave you here? Are you guys okay with this information? I'm gonna kind of leave you here. Okay, so I will say this one thing I would, if I give you a scenario of this, if I tell you something, this is because it can be disheartening, especially if you're a Cabbage Patch. And let me just give signs of a Cabbage Patch, or if you're an incubator. You follow every trend, you're highly capped, you're usually hyper religious, hyper indoctrinatable, hyper into all trending. You're the first person who follows others. You aren't able to create anything yourself. You basically are copy and pasters of everything else because you aren't original. You come from a apparatus. You are geoengineered in a laboratory. You haven't any originality. That's all signs of one being a Cabbage Patch, an incubator child, a orphan trained child. Okay, you come from that, you're capped. Your genealogy was created in a laboratory. So everything, every DNA activation that is inside of you is coded to be capped at a certain layer that is suggestible and controllable by your Willy Wonka systems. Okay? If you're able to imagine, if you're able to be creative, if you're able to create, if you have rhythm, you're a human. Okay? Humans have rhythm. If you don't have rhythm, why wouldn't you have rhythm of the planet and everything else does? How are you rhythmless, but everything in nature follows the heartbeat? Listen to the crickets. Let's take us out of humans. Listen to the crickets. Listen to the frogs. Listen to the birds. How would you be something natural if you can't catch a beat? Okay. So let me bring some good news, some positive things. Okay. Now that you know this information, how does this service you? What does that mean? Don't fall for the okey doke. Stay above the rim. When they are showing these images of a man being murdered in front of his family and blood popping out of his neck, what do you think they intend for you to feel from that? Either enraged, fearful, sad, ecstatic, because some people were evilly ecstatic, regardless. They're driving emotions. They're driving the herd to have hyper emotions. Try to refrain from being highly emotionally affected by any of the psyops. There's going to be a lot more, y'all. And I told you that 2020, the pandemic, that was a beta test. That was a beta test to see how easily they could cull the entire globe into perceiving, receiving, and participating in a biological weapon program. And I think they did a good job. All they had to do is put fake numbers of people dying over and over again, whether it was verifiable or not, just roll it constantly on CNN, NBC, people watching all day, telling people are dying, even though it wasn't verifiable. And what that did is incentivize people to go into fear, paranoia, and to participate. Okay. When they couldn't necessarily make everybody do anything. So what they do, they mess with your jobs, saying you're going to lose your fiat, your security, your ability to feed your family and to provide for your home if you aren't participating in this biological weaponry. Then they got the whole other lot of people. Okay. That was a beta test. That was a psychological and biological beta test to see how far and how wide they could pull people into participating into a biological weaponry by their own free will. No one forced it. Now, those people in Australia, I will say this, and I'm not, my Australian family, please let me know if this is true. I know in Australia, there were special needs children and other children being forcibly given that. That's something that's against free will. There's consequences to doing that, but we can't look at it because we don't know if that's true. Okay, so I asked my Australian family because our Australian family know this. Okay. You have free will to choose to be righteous, to be there and be a servant of your family, yourself, your higher self. You aren't having to participate in the Hunger Games, the Purge, the what else? The Handmaid's Tale. That's a choice. All of this inevitably is to pull the ones who survive this into smart and freedom cities. Because after they drive you mad and you're so fearful and paranoia of your neighbor, of the brown people, of the lunar people, of the aliens, after you're so paranoid, they're going to give you an option of entering into freedom cities where you'll be surveyed by AI all day, but you'll be safe. Your food will be given to you. You won't need any income. I told you, you don't think it's odd that all jobs are being phased out and given to AI and automated technology is taking your jobs? Why do you think they're phasing them out? Because they know there won't be many of you left. And the ones left will be culled into the smart cities by their own paranoia, by their own free will, because they will believe their Willy Wonka system is there to protect them. They will live in an AI generated, a Soylent Green food, because they're going to be feeding some of the dead bodies to those living there. So you will have an ultimate, either you'll be eating mealworms, grounded down roaches. That's another thing. They'll be grounding down roaches, which you already do now, into your food source, and Soylent Green, and that will be your food. So you will be eating well and hearty, but you'll be eating your own people. Okay, well, which will further sociologically and psychologically break you down. Why do you think there's something is called mad cow's disease? Okay, when you consume your own, it drives you mad, and then also it opts you out for being able to ascend out of here, because once you consume your brethren by choice or by default, usually it's by choice, because by you giving your rights away and going into a system, knowing the very beings that perpetuated the psyops that they're doing now, and you're giving yourself to them, you're already given consent to what they desire to give you. And once you start consuming your brethren and your sistren, you've already opted out of ascension. So what can you do? Be good to yourself. Forgive yourself. Love yourself. Start speaking words of like happiness and joy. Start living. If this is the end, right? My grandmother told you, she said, I told you all the time when my grandmother said I had all this beautiful wedding stuff I got for my wedding, all these beautiful glasses. I tell you this story all the time because I have to remember this. I had all these beautiful glasses and dishes for my wedding. Oh my God. And I had my china cabinet, right? And I would only give it, like, have all my glasses and stuff serving to family for holidays. I wouldn't use it myself, but I would only serve it for my family. My grandmother says one day, why do you not feel you're important? Do you not feel you're worthy to drink from the cup of something that is special for you? Why do you only feel like others are special and you're not yourself? You understand? Like, it's crazy. Like, because my mindset is I wanted to make everyone else feel special and drink from those special things that I received. But why didn't I feel special enough to drink from those beautiful cups? So what I'm sharing that with you is that you're deserving of happiness and joy. If we're in a simulation, as I perceive it, why wouldn't you have the best time ever, knowing that you'll probably wake up, and even if they're going to harvest this world, why wouldn't you make every moment count? Instead of staying, for years, a lot of us like afraid to go out, the cucarachas shedding, all this craziness. But why wouldn't we enjoy the amenities of being here? Why are we going to allow them to push us into a box that wasn't what we ever intended for ourselves? Live your best life. Make love on the moon. Have that amazing slice of cake. Go and hiking in the place that you've never gone. Go and travel to the country you've always wanted. Everything on your bucket list, empty the bucket out. Enjoy every moment, because the one thing that they aren't able to harvest and isn't good for them is joy and happiness and love. It isn't as palatable to them. What's palatable is the loosh of darkness, sadness, fear, and discomfort. Why would you give them the food? Do you hear my doggies? You hear them? Okay. So I'm going to leave you with that. I hope, please share with all the, oh, wait, I was going to share something else. There was something, bye-bye. Hey, bye. Come. You see them? Look at them. You see the mad crew over there? You see them? Look at them. Okay. Who let the dogs out? Woof, woof, woof. Who let the dogs out? Look at them. Babbitt is over here trying to get me to get off of here. That's my pack, y'all. That's my pack. That's Rach emoji. I was going to share something else with you too. Okay, the psyops and so on. I probably will come on. There's so much more, but I hope this was helpful. The Seraphim are here. They're shopping our planet like it's Neiman Marcus and Bloomingdale's, y'all. They're coming here to get their face creams to maintain their status quo of life force. They're coming here to cultivate and to salvage mankind. Okay? Why even feed them? Have fun. Yeah. Take that honeymoon. Don't wait. Go and enjoy your day. If you want to go to the Fiji Islands, go. If you want to go on the beach today, call out mental health day, go. Give yourself permission to enjoy yourself. That is my remedy for what I'm sharing with you. If I can give you the truth, I can give you the darkness, I definitely can give you some enlightenment with it. So you could take it or leave it. I would love to know your opinions. Share. I'm sure I'm not the only ones these women contacted. I just know that the contact that they made with me was so pinnacle and me understanding why all these events are rolling out right now. It gave me much more of a wider spectrum of understanding why we're witnessing these diabolical things, because they've contracted these henchmen to create the ultimate adrenochrome planetarily. Anyway, love you. Anyway, please, if you want to put a like on the video, you can. If you don't, it is what it is. I will see you guys on Zoom tonight. I can come back. My headache is gone. And yes, this is chai. I'm drinking it's like a tea chai. It's really nice. I'm off coffee for a while. And I think I did well being off coffee, y'all, because obviously it was necessary for me to have this form of contact. So I will let you know if anything happens. Again, this happened within the last couple of days. So again, there's probably some layers of contact that may happen again, but I just wanted to share this. And also there was a weird kind of animal they had. Oh God, I wanted to share this because I saw they have like they have a pet. God, it rolls as a fluffy. I'm gonna share a picture. It's in a movie. It's like an animal. They have pets like us, but there was like a rolling fluffy ball kind of creature they had. I don't know if I'm supposed to share that or not, but I saw it. It was cute, but it was like rolling, and it opens up and it looks like like a chow a little bit. Anyway, that's just something to add. All right, y'all. I will see you later. I will see you tonight on Zoom. I'll kind of share more with the Zombies, and I thank everyone for coming in. And I shall see you again. Peace. Peace. Who let the dogs out? Woof, woof.